Well, guys, here we go with your Phil Steele Plus tour for Week 6. 2-3-1 last week. Disappointing for the 6 selections. Unfortunately, Liberty benched their starting quarterback, Malik Willis. They just decided to sit him, give him some rest for this week, and that affected that play. But we'll bounce back this week, get you a nice big winning week with these free selections, and most importantly, get you to utilize the Phil Steele Plus tour or the Phil Steele Plus site to its fullest. There's a lot of information up there, and I want you to be able to get all that information and use it to for your benefit each and every week during the football season. So let's start with the first play. And by the way, today I have got my first Phil Steele Plus game of the week. We're going to isolate one game. It's going to be my game of the week. We'll see if we can get a nice little run on that record. And do keep in mind, the NFL on a nice 2-0 run. Let's make it 3-0 this week. All right, let's start with the first game. It's a big one, and it was supposed to be a big one. Unfortunately, as you see in the red here, Texas lost last week. Oklahoma lost last week. Taking a little luster off of the Red River rivalry. But you guys know me. If Tom Herman's an underdog, I like Texas. Tom Herman is 16-4 as a dog. Go ahead and check out your magazine page. You'll see that. That dates back to his days at Houston. And of those 16 wins, 11 have been outright. So head to your 2020 magazine. Check out the Texas page. Check out the Houston page. Texas is page 147. You can go back and look there. And then, of course, when he was at Houston, same thing. He was the master of the upset there. But a couple other things I like to point out. First of all, if you take a look at the quarterbacks for this game, Spencer Rattler, a redshirt freshman. Sam Ehlinger, a veteran senior. Ellinger's got a 14-2 ratio. This is a 10-4 ratio. Those interceptions have been costly. Now, I will say this. Oklahoma is getting a knock for having a horrible defense, but they're only allowing 317 yards per game. Not really horrible. You look here, they only gave up 10 first downs at Kansas State, 23 last week, giving up a total of 13.3 first downs per game. It's the big plays. You go back to Ohio State in 2018 when Alex Grinch was defense coordinator there. They gave up a lot of big plays. They're giving up big plays here at Oklahoma. But they were basically had the Kansas State game in control. They were winning 35-14. They led Iowa State 30-23. They're basically 2 plays away from being 3-0. So it's not a horrible Oklahoma team. Would be very surprising to see them at 1-3, but I do expect them to go to 1-3. Take a look at the series history, and when you go here, down you see these the team names are in blue, or if you've looked at them, they're in brown. You just click on them, and that gives you the last 23 years matchup. So if we look at the last 23 years matchup, look at all this green for Texas. Now, they haven't been winning the games. Oklahoma has won 5 of the last 7, 5 of the last 8, but Texas has covered 7 of the last 8. It's been an underdog series. Texas is 7-1 against the spread. You got to love that. Tom Herman is 16-4 against the spread as an underdog, and he, of course, has all of those outright wins, 11 outright wins at his disposal. Ehlinger gives him an advantage there. And how about Oklahoma? If you go to the Oklahoma page in the magazine and flip back and look at the Oklahoma games, you will see that they are just 3-9 as a Big 12 home favorite. Now, you can also go here. You click on the last 40 years results. This gives you every spread for Oklahoma dating back to 1976. This is on every page. If we go here to Texas, we can click on last 40-year results. All the way back to 1976. I've kept these records since then. This also, what we did is right here, we started listing the totals. Now, you may not have been following football back in the late 90s and the early 2000s, but they used to only post totals. They started posting totals like in 97, and it was only on TV games. It wasn't on every game. They started posting totals on every game in 2003. And when they did that, we started logging them right here. So you can get the totals on every game since 2003. Then we started doing halftimes back in 2004, and these are pretty valuable. You know, you go back and look at that Oklahoma-Kansas State game. If you look right here on the site, you can see that Oklahoma led 21-7. If you click on the box score, it takes you through the game. Oklahoma led this thing 35-21. These box scores are provided by collegepressbox.com. They're on every game. They give you what the stats for the game, the individual players, tackles, starters, You go through, and then you got play-by-play. I do go through the play-by-play of every single game. At the start of the year when they were playing 19, 20 games a week, I was going and watching every single game. And I watch the games, but I mean watch them play-by-play, one game at a time. Now I'm only doing about 15 of those a week. Of course, I got the 12 TVs in front of me, so I'm watching 12 games all day long. But you can go through the play-by-play of every game. You get your halftime stats. CollegePressBox.com does a great job in these box scores. And once again, last 40 years' results, if you want to go back and see how Oklahoma did as a Big 12 favorite, you can go back all the way through here. This tells you who the head coach was in each year, so you can see their 1-2, 1-3 start is the worst since back here. John Blake, when they went 5-6 in 1998, that's when Bob Stoops came in 99. Things really changed around for Oklahoma, and they've been on the uprise since then. All this, all the stats every year, all at your fingertips for every team. Just click on this last 40 years results for that. Individual player stats, you can see how the players have done for each game. You see Seth McGowan has been the leading rusher all 3 games. He's a freshman for Oklahoma, but not putting up the type of numbers you expect out of an Oklahoma running back. We'll go back and take a look at last year, for example, 2019. Hurts was running the ball a lot there, but Brooks had a 100-yard game here, 100-yard, 100-yard, 100-yard there. They're missing that from the lineup. Stevenson had a couple of 100-yard games that year. All the individual stats are listed for each team. You go back to 18, 17, 16. Here's 17's individual stats. You want to see how players did. Baker Mayfield, the quarterback back then. All that on every site, so make sure you utilize it. But your first official play, Tom Herman's an underdog. We're taking Texas. Tom Herman's a favorite. We're probably going against Texas, but Tom Herman's an underdog. We're going with Texas. Take Texas plus 2.5 over Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. Let's go to North Carolina State against Virginia. And I always like to put the visitor on the left and the home team on the right. So we're going to go here, and you just go here to team pages. Gives you the complete menu. We're going to click and put NC State on the left right there, and we are going to put Virginia on the right. Let's find Virginia. There they are. And here's our matchup. Now, the one thing I like about this game is the series history. If we click here on the Virginia, we see the series history. The underdog in this game is 6-3. But look out here. See the upsets? 1, 2, 3, 4. There have been 5 upsets the last 7 years, 6 upsets the last 9 years. So this is a series where whoever's favored, the odds are they're going to struggle in the game. So it's a series that's been dominated by the underdog. The underdog has pulled 6 upsets in the last 9 years. And one thing I want to show you about NC State, these out here, we've had, you're going to notice the rankings are off. You see the dollar signs here. That's because some schools haven't played. It's 2020, guys. Big Ten, Mountain West, MAC, they haven't played yet. Pac-12 have not played yet. So it's messing up my rankings. They'll get corrected once all the teams have started playing. But the bottom line is you look at these numbers here. And last week, NC State put up 398 yards. Now, that's good, but it was 220 yards above what Pitt's been averaging, allowing. And let me show you how that works. Let's go over to Pitt, take a look at their defense. Pitt's defense had allowed 139, 171, 223. They were allowing less than 200 yards per game. If you take 220 off of here, they were allowing 178 yards per game. So getting 398 yards against a team that's allowing 178 puts you at plus 220 in that category. That's a pretty good number for NC State. And really the reason for their turnaround has been here. If you go to the individual stats, Devin Leary missed a lot of time in the fall due to the coronavirus, isolation, things like that, and did not play in the opener. Didn't play in the first half against Virginia Tech. And once again, if we go back to the first half, he trailed Virginia Tech 31-10. Well, Leary came off the bench in the second half. Now, the first thing you could do, you could look here and find that out. You just go through here and you could see when Leary played, when he didn't. But Leary hit 12 of 16 in the second half. And if you notice the second half of that game against Virginia Tech, NC State put up 14 points and played a lot better. They had solid yardage in the second half. If you take the yards, they had 143 at the half, and they had 243 in the second half. And now Leary played last week. They had that big game against Pitt. Here's your individual stats. 28 of 44, 336 yards, 4 touchdowns against a Pitt defense that have been allowing 173 yards per game. So I like Leary in that respect. I like the fact it's an underdog series. And if you look at those 24 years matchups, you can see all the upsets. Your second play we're going to lock in here. We're going to take North Carolina State +8 over Virginia. That's North Carolina State +8 over Virginia is your second of your 6 plays this week. All right, we got another series play coming up here. And we take a look at Western Kentucky against Marshall. Now, Marshall, we're going to put Marshall on the left because they're the visitor. And we're going to put Western Kentucky on the right because they're the home team. Now, if you read the magazine, you know that Western Kentucky was a favorite to win the division this year. So probably coming into the year, Western Kentucky's probably a 4-point favorite in this game, maybe a 6-point favorite because they're slated to be the better team and they're at home. Western Kentucky has struggled against some mobile quarterbacks. If you take a look at the Louisville game, Malik Cunningham. Let's go see what kind of numbers Malik Cunningham put up against them. Malik Cunningham rushing 35 yards, but his mobility was definitely a factor in that game if you watched it. And then the Liberty game, once again, going back to the fact that, unfortunately, last week, Liberty did not have Malik Willis. If you look at the individual player stats for Malik Willis, he ran for 168 yards against Western Kentucky, 85 against FIU, and then unfortunately sat last week while they played a freshman quarterback in Chris Ferguson and only beat Liberty by 21. Arg. All right, so anyway, you're looking at Liberty as a mobile quarterback. Louisville had a mobile quarterback. And Western Kentucky last week played Middle Tennessee, who had a mobile quarterback. They still beat Middle Tennessee. And if you look at the score for Middle, while it was 10-10 at the half, it was 20-10. Western Kentucky led this thing 20-10. Middle got a touchdown with 2:07 left. And let's see how many yards Asher O'Hara ran for last week. Asher O'Hara ran for 120 yards. So they've struggled a little bit with mobile quarterbacks. Now, Grant Wells is not he's got some mobility, but he's not a running quarterback. He's a passing quarterback. Grant Wells has only run for 73 yards on the year. Another thing about Grant Wells, you look at 56% with a 4-1 ratio, but he hit 22 of 29 for 345 yards against Eastern Kentucky, and everyone's like, wow, Grant Wells is magnificent. But then against App State, only 11 of 25 for 163 yards. So a rather average game against App here. And he had 0-1 ratio. We'll see what he does. Western Kentucky had a really good defense last year. And a good portion of that defense is back. So you expect this defense to play well. They've struggled with mobile quarterbacks. I think against a less mobile quarterback, they'll revert to being the defense they were last year. Last year, they held opponents to 68 yards per game below their season average. Look at all these numbers out here. All good, with the exception of the Middle Tennessee State game. Once again, mobile quarterback Asher O'Hara. But 813 or 68 yards per game below their season average they held opponents to last year. So I think their defense can revert to form. Tyrell Pegram has got good stats. Now watching him, he's an average passer, but he is hitting 58% with a 6-0 ratio. Team's leading rusher. This is the guy we need to get going, Gage Walker. You look at last year, Gage Walker ran for 1,208 yards, 5.0 yards per carry. Where the heck's he been this year? 9 carries, 19 yards, 11 to 34, 5 for 15. Let's get Mr. Walker going this week. Help Tyrone Pegram out at the quarterback position. I think Western Kentucky plays good defense. But the one thing I want to point out here, let's click on the stat of Western Kentucky against Marshall. Now, what these numbers mean here, at a glance, you can tell red means you lost the game. They lost by 7, they lost by 3, they lost by 3. Green means you won the game. They won by 54, they won by 21, they won by a point. Over here, this is your line. The minus means you're a favorite. The non-minus means you're a dog. The green means you covered the game. Western Kentucky's a perfect 6-0 against the spread against Marshall. 6-0, and Helton, if you go to your magazine page, you will see that Tyson Helton is 6-2 as a dog. And you will also see that Doc Holliday is on a 10-22 run as a favorite. And by the way, if you look at his dog games, let's go take a look at his underdog games for Tyson Helton. They upset Florida International here. They lost to Louisville. That was one of their losses that they had. They upset UAB. They upset Army. They covered against Marshall but lost by 3. They upset Arkansas on the road. So not only 6-2, as a dog, but 5 outright upsets. So you've got a strong underdog against a Marshall team that's just 10-22 as a favorite. You've got a Western Kentucky team that dominated the series, one that's not facing a mobile quarterback. I think the situation sets up well. Like I said, prior to the season, Western Kentucky would probably be a 4 to 6 point favorite. They are a 7.5 point dog. So they can even lose this game by a touchdown you still cover. Western Kentucky plus 7.5 is my play here over Marshall. They'll lock it in, play number 3 for this week. All right, let's get to my first Phil Steele Plus game of the week. All right, let's set it up. Who's on the left? Well, we're going to send the visitor on the left, Kansas State. Now let's set the home team on the right, TCU. TCU delivered for me last week with their outright upset win over Texas. That was an inside the press box play, and a very nice win. They were a dog, went outright 33-31. Now, a couple things I want to point out about TCU. We go back to the quarters. They trailed Iowa State 16-7 at the half. Now, Max Duggan missed a lot of the fall due to the heart thing. Due to the COVID, they tested the heart, found a fast rhythm, so he had to sit out some time. He got cleared, and he was actually able to play in the second half against Iowa State. Let's look at the individual player stats. Matthew Downing hit 11-21 the first half. Dugan came in, hit 16-20 for 241. They could easily have knocked off Iowa State. They had the yardage edge. They had the first down edge. Ended up losing the game by 3. Last week, Dugan was there the whole game. Click on the individual stats. Dugan hit 20-30 for 231. Also ran for 79 yards. Also keep an eye on Zach Evans. He was my number 1 rated running back out of high school. Didn't play in the opener. He only got a couple of plays last week. I'm looking for more of a workload from him, and we might see a running back start to emerge. Kendre Miller had a couple of nice runs last week if you watched the game. 10 carries for 6-7 yards, but this is the guy I'm waiting to emerge at the running back spot. So you've got Dugan back. His 6 quarters have been great. In those 6 quarters, TCU outscored Iowa State. They outscored Texas, and I think they've got the advantage over Kansas State. But I want to drill in a little bit closer because you've got a 1-1 TCU team against a 2-1 Kansas State team that already beat Oklahoma. And how can we lay points in that situation? Well, Kansas State's doing it with mirrors. Look at this. Minus 115 yards, minus 117 yards, minus 67 yards. They are minus 100 yards per game on the year. Their defense giving up 492 yards. Their offense only generating 393. You look at the first downs. 21, 10, 20. 51 first downs. They've given up 81. They're being out first down by 10 first downs per game. Yet somehow, some way, smoke and mirrors, this team is 2-1. I think it's a fake team that's 2-1. They do have an outstanding player. If you watch Kansas State, watch number 22, Deuce Swan. 205 yards rushing, 234 yards receiving. Probably got a boatload of return yards as well. That's who TCU's got to take away. Gary Patterson's a good enough coach to know that. I think they will find a way to stop Deuce Vaughn. Now let's look at TCU. They're just 1-1. They have out first down Iowa State and Texas, 2 quality teams, 54-30. That's by 12 first downs per game. They have out first down their opponents. Kansas State's being out first down by 10 first downs per game. Let's look at this a little bit closer. If you go to the homepage, we've got a lot of information on the homepage right here under FBS info. In fact, if there's any schedules missing, just come to here, like the Pac-12, for example. This is their schedule. If you want to find out how Oregon has done against USC, there's your last 23 years matchups. It's all right here. Todd is working on getting all those pasted up, so all these are blue. They're not all done, but if you see one that's not, just come here and go to the FBS schedules. Last 23 years results are all up there. But let's go back to the homepage, and let's go back to these FBS information because there's a lot of stuff up here. Let's take a look at the offense, defense versus opponent averages. TCU is plus 139 yards. They're plus 139 on offense, plus 65 on defense, plus 204 yards per game against what their opponents normally allow. I showed you that a little bit earlier. If you go down here, Kansas State's right at the bottom. They are number, here they are, 54 out of 71 teams. They're minus 52, minus 9, minus 61 yards per game. I love looking at how the teams do against the opponent averages. You can see that TCU has done well, and that Kansas State has indeed been struggling in this area. There's Kansas State, minus 147, minus 134. Let's go take a look at TCU's numbers. Team page, TCU, we want to put them on the right. And we see a lot of green here. They had 158 yards more than Iowa State gives up to other opponents. 120 yards more than Texas gives up to other opponents. They held Texas to 195 yards per game, below their season average. Those are all outstanding numbers for TCU. So you've got a TCU team that's got 106.5 average game grade. And what these average game grades are, they're not just the score of the game, okay? But they take a look at the opponent that you played, the score of the game, and the yardage of the game. And so all that's factored into an average game grade. Kansas State is playing to an average game grade of 90. TCU's playing to an average game grade of 106. That's a 16-point edge. Add in a 3-point. Normally you'd give TCU a little bit more of a home point edge. Let's give them 3. 19 points TCU should win this game by, and they're only minus 8.5. So you're going to control the game. You know the first downs are going to be in our favor. We're going to have the ball. Dugan's been great his last 6 games at quarterback. You have a fake team against a strong team that gained a lot of confidence last week. I think TCU's a legitimate contender in the Big 12 this year. Your Phil Steele Plus game of the week, we're taking TCU minus 8.5 over Kansas State. Now, over the first 2 years of these Phil Steele Plus tours, these FCS games have been the star. They've been hitting like 70, 75%. This year, they're struggling. Like I said, Liberty sat their quarterback last week. Doggone it. But this week, we're going to take a look at the one FCS versus FCS matchup, and I think we have a decent play here. It's Mercer against Jacksonville State. So let's go ahead and click Mercer up here on the left. And let's click Jacksonville State on the right. Now, the first thing you look at when you look at Mercer, you think, wow, Todd didn't get that team updated. But he did. They haven't played a game this year, so that's why everything is blank. They do have Robert Riddle back at QB. He's an average quarterback. He had 57% of the 15-11 ratio last year. They do have a 1,000-yard rusher back, but their top 3 receivers are all gone. These 2 guys, Durden and Cannon, are gone. McKee is a guy that they moved to the secondary, so they're actually missing their top 3 receivers, and they lost 5 of their top 7 tacklers on defense. How good of a team was Mercer last year? They were okay. They beat Western Carolina, Presbyterian, VMI. These are all weak teams. They won 4 games, mostly against weak teams. They went 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 last year. Once again, red means you lost, green means you won. You could tell at a glance good things and bad things. You could also tell this team has trouble defending the run. They gave up 269 yards on the ground, 5.7 yards per carry. Now, Jacksonville State's not a huge running team, but that's going to help their running ability. And after playing the athletes they played at Florida State, I think they're going to enjoy taking on a Mercer team that gave up 473 yards per game and loses 5 of their top 7 tacklers from last year. If you look at the average game grades from last year, Mercer was a 50.8. Jacksonville State had an off year. They're normally up here at the 75 level as far as the average game grade goes. In fact, Zarek Cooper, their quarterback, threw for 3,400 yards that year with the 32-12 ratio. They played at a 75.5 average game grade level. Once again, Mercer played at a 50 level. Now, Zarek Cooper was back last year, and these guys were 6-3. But then they had a 5-point loss right here, a one where they outgained their opponent. They had a 10-point loss. They outgained their opponent. And they had a loss to Eastern Kentucky by 6. They finished 6-6. It was a down year for Jacksonville State. They only finished at 62, but that's still 12 points higher. I expect Jacksonville State, with Zarek Cooper still a quarterback. Cooper last year hit 59% with a 28-12 ratio. Cooper's back again. And even against Florida State, he had 73% of his passes. This is a team that played last week to a 79 average game grade. They played to a 50 average game grade. And let's go look at the box score for Florida State and Jacksonville State. See if our friend Todd here has it up. We have to go to the FBS team page for this. We're going to go to Florida State, and there it is. How about that? Got the box score for the game. Jacksonville State led this thing 14-0. It was 21-14 at the half. We can go back and take a look at the halftime stats. They're taking on a Florida State team loaded with athletes. They are out-athlete at every position. They lead 14-0 after one quarter with a 6-2 first down edge. And at the half, they lead 21-14. The yards are 173, 158. So they're standing toe-to-toe with Florida State in the first half and actually lead the game. Came up short at the end. They lost 41-24, but still easily covered the game. So I'm impressed with the game they played last week. Let's go back and put Mercer back up here with their 50 average game grade. And now we're taking on a Jacksonville State team playing a 79.3 average game grade. Zara Cooper's back at quarterback. Just 2 years ago with Zara Cooper, 75. A Jacksonville State team I think is on the rise. They were 5-2 at home last year. They beat Chattanooga, Eastern Washington, Northern Alabama. Their only losses, they lost Eastern Kentucky by 6 and Southeast Missouri State by 3. And now let's take a look at the inside the press box. And we're going to take a look at the inside the press box matchup. Now I do this on every game. This gives you my computer's forecast on every single game and gives you my complete in-depth write-up. I talk about everything you need to know about the game in here. As you can tell, Jacksonville State, I'm expecting to win 37-21. My computer's expecting them to win 36-22. The line's 7.5, guys. I would have thought it would have been 2 touchdowns. So the line's about a touchdown. You got all this on every game, including FCS versus FCS matchups. My play here is take Jacksonville State minus 7.5 over Mercer as your FCS play. And let's see if we can't get that rolling. Now, a quick note for you on PressBox. If you want to just try a single issue of PressBox, go to the homepage over here, and you go to the NC store right here. And when you click on the NC store, here's your college edition inside the PressBox, the single issue. It's $20. This week, if you type in the code TRYME, you can get it for $10. That's every single game covered fully. And once again, you get a complete write-up on every single game like this. You get my computer's forecast, including yards, rushing yards. This is saying Jacksonville State runs for 245 yards this week with a 245, 140-yard edge. Throws for 278, has a 523, 312-yard edge. That's on every game. You get my computer's look. I don't always agree with my computer. You get my complete analysis of the game. I'm spending an hour on every single game. Giving you the write-up on it. So you got my write-up, you got my computer's forecast, then you make your decision. But type in Try Me. Try this week's issue for just $10 right here. If you want to, you can get the press box for the season, take $20 off. Now, we lowered the prices this week. $129. There's still plenty of football left, guys. We're going all of October, all of November, and basically all of December. They're playing football. A lot of seasons are getting started later, but the Big Ten's playing 8 games, the Pac-12's playing 7, and you get all the way through that third week of December. $129, NFL $129, postseason $89. Add them all up, it's $411. Right now, you type in Elite Member down here under the Inside the Press Box NFL and College, and it's just $169. Don't pay them $411, just $169. And if you're not already a Phil Steele Plus member, you get Phil Steele Plus for free with that. So you can join Phil Steele Plus right here. We just cut the price to $64, but you get it free with an Inside the Press Box subscription. So that's $64 right there off of this $129. You're paying $65 for Inside the Press Box for the whole season. Once again, your code words are Try Me for the single issue. Football is back for the season issue for the single here. And Elite Member, it's right now $219. You get all the above for just $169. Right here, you'll see the $219 price for NFL and college. Type in Elite Member, you get it for $169. But give me a try. If you haven't tried it for a weekend, get an issue of Inside the Press Box this week. Complete write-up on every game. College Pro, you get it for $10 for either college or pro this week. All right, NFL 2-0. Let's go for 3-0 this week. And let's take a look at our matchup and see how to use the site. By the way, one thing I didn't show you on the FCS, we take you all the way back. If you want to become an FCS expert, remember, FCS is playing spring football this year, guys. So get that Phil Steele Plus subscription, and you'll have all this at your access. You will be able to do your homework on the FCS prior to those games playing. You've got individual stats on the FCS for 2019 right there. Every single game, you can see how Zara Cooper did for 2020 and 2018 as well. Go back and see how Zara Cooper did game by game that year for Jacksonville State and for every team. Individual stats, complete stats, color-coded green and red. You'll love it. And you'll see why we're hitting 70-75% in the FCS over the 3 years of Phil Steele Plus. But let's go talk NFL now and see what's available here on our NFL team pages. And we will click to the team pages right now for the NFL. Click back, NFL team pages. And I love the logos, so I've got those there. The first matchup we're going to look at, actually, before I get to the matchups, let's see what's available on these NFL team pages. Or not team pages, on the NFL site, just to see if all this stuff's updated right now. NFL info, strength of wins, pain of losses. And it's from last year. Todd will get that updated shortly. You could tell how teams did, their straight-up wins and what you get credit for your foes' wins. We'll have that up for you next week. I'll talk about that stuff next week when we have those updated. But let's go to the team pages. And on the left, we're going to put the visitor. The visitor is the Carolina Panthers. 2-2. They are taking on the 0-4 Atlanta Falcons. That's an easy pick, right? Take Carolina. Not so fast. Atlanta's a 1.5-point favorite here. Now, I'll tell you this, guys. At the start of the year, I had Atlanta middle-of-the-road team in the NFL, and I had Carolina very much towards the bottom. They lost a lot. They have a first-year head coach, and they also lost their top running back. Now, Todd's going to adjust the stats. Let me see if he did. No, he didn't. Okay, Todd's going to adjust these rushing totals here on Carolina, for the individual player stats. You'll see Christian McCaffrey is their leading rusher, but he's out. Mike Davis is their number 2 rusher. Right now, it looks a little funky where Mike Davis is showing 1-for-1 and yards rushing. That'll be adjusted. Teddy Bridgewater's actual stats for the year will indeed be adjusted as well. So we'll have those up for you by the time you click on this site. You'll have those adjusted. But Carolina this year, 2-2. Who have they played? They played the Oakland Raiders. Yeah. Chargers. Yeah. Arizona. Yeah. Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. Okay. They lost that one by 14, but did play well. But Tampa's still getting its feet going in this season. They're 2-2. So they really haven't played a great team yet. Let's see who Atlanta's played. Seattle Seahawks, 4-0. Okay. Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl contender at the start of the year. They've gotten off to a little slow start at 1-3, but Super Bowl contender considered. The Chicago Bears, 4-1. The Green Bay Packers, 4-0. So they're basically played the cream of the crop in the NFL, and now they're playing one of the bottom teams in the NFL. Is there a chance they could get a win? Now, you thought maybe they're going to fire Dan Quinn, but Quinn's still there. So with their head coach still there, remember last year, they got off to a horrific start, and then look how they finished. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-2 their last 8 games. They know they can turn it around and start playing. They need to turn it around right now, and I think they can get that going. So you've got an Atlanta team that's undervalued, and let's take a little closer look here. Seattle, 4-0. Atlanta outgained them 506-383, had a 123-yard edge. Wow. Dallas, let's take a look at that Dallas game a little bit closer. Atlanta playing the Dallas Cowboys. I like Dallas in that game. I was going to take the Cowboys as a possible play, and but the Falcons led 39-24. We all know what happened. That onside kick at the end of the game, and Dallas gets a late field goal. Atlanta should have beaten Dallas. They play the Chicago Bears. Let's take a look at that box score. And when you click on box score, you get this whole thing, courtesy of NFL.com. They put these box scores up there. Appreciate that. What a great job. So they're playing the 4-1 Chicago Bears. They lead 26-10 with 6 minutes to go in a game. Now, they're not playing the lowly Carolina Panthers. They're playing the 4-1 Chicago Bears. And they end up losing this game late. The Bears get a touchdown with 1:53 left, overcome a 16-point deficit in that game. And then they play the Green Bay Packers on Monday night and lost. That's a tough team to play and lose. So Atlanta has played a killer schedule. They're 0-4, but they've got this quarterback, Matt Ryan. And once again, his individual stats are not adjusted for the season. He's got a 7-2 ratio, 1.246. Todd will have that updated by the time it rolls around. This shows him at 7-1. He's up to 6-2 right now. They've got Todd Gurley at running back. Let's see how Todd Gurley's faring so far this year. He's doing okay. He's not playing like he was with the Rams, but he's shown glimpses. And if Gurley starts playing like you like, then they're in pretty good shape. And keep in mind, McCaffrey's out for Carolina. So you have an Atlanta Falcons team that I think is under the radar, that have played the big boys tough, could easily have a much better record. They could be 2-2 right now, easily, and even outgain Seattle. And you're only laying 1.5 against Carolina. Now, if we take a look at the come over here to take a look at Atlanta and Carolina's workbooks, and we're going to open this up to the left. Oh, Atlanta's on the right. We'll put them over here, and we're going to take Carolina and put them on the left. These are the workbook pages we have for the NFL. And when we take a look at this, we see that the Carolina Panthers, if you take a look at their division record, how do they fare against the division the last 4 years? 1-5, 2-4, 3-3, 2-4. Add it all up, including this year, 8-17 against the spread versus the division. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the Atlanta Falcons as a home favorite against the division. Here's the division. Here's home favorite. 1-1, 2-1, 3-0. So they're actually 6-2 against the spread as a home favorite against their division. And now, if you like these workbook pages, by the way, just go once again to the NC store, go to the home page, go to the store, and we got the workbook available right here. Here's your workbook. The workbook is $20.25 plus shipping, and you get all this on every team. You get 3 full pages on every NFL team. This is one of them. You can, of course, get the left, which looks like the left that we had. I should have put one up here, what it looks like there. Let me see if this has got, check out what's inside this jam-packed publication. Let's do that. There's the link. There's your 3 pages. You've got this, which is your last 15 years. So you got the last 20 years records. Like with college, you've got this down here. You've got the individual stat leaders for last year, color-coded green and red, and then this angle page, which I find the most valuable part, these angles. Even gives you over-under angles here as well. So add it all up. You got the Atlanta Falcons, who I feel are way undervalued. They're a team that one more thing I want to point out in this series. Let's go back to this series for a minute. And we're going to click on NFL info, team pages. We had Carolina on the left, so let's keep them over here on the left. And let's take a look at the series history. So if we click here, you got the series history on every team. Look at the spread record. 1, 2, 3, 4. Atlanta Falcons are 7-1 against the spread. Look at how they won. They won 29-3, 40-20, 31-24, 24-10. Last 2 years, they've won all 4 games. That's 26, plus 20 is 46, plus 7 is 53, plus 14 is 67, divided by 4. That is 15, 16, 17 points per game they are winning by. 7-1 against the spread, 4-0 the last 2 years, winning by 17 points per game. The great home favorite against the division, against a poor division team. And I think that Atlanta has played the vastly tougher schedule. So your NFL play as we go for 3 in a row. We're going to take the Atlanta Falcons -1.5 over Carolina. All right, we'll have all that stuff updated for you on the website when you get there today. Make sure you go there. Take advantage of your Phil Steele Plus. Phil Steele Plus is free with Inside the Press Box. If you haven't got Inside the Press Box or Phil Steele Plus, go use that. Try me. $10. Get my college newsletter this week. Complete write-ups and on every single game. Let's hope we have a nice big winning week this week on the Phil Steele Plus Tour. There's 6 free plays for you, including your first Phil Steele Plus Game of the Week. I'll be back with you next week, and thanks for watching.